So after defeating the Steelers 20-17 and having a great last drive, how does Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys follow up off of that win? With a 47-9 loss at home. This is ridiculous at this point. This is the second time they have lost like this at home. Now, I'm not going to come on here. I'm not a Cowboys hater like Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp. It's okay. Come on, bring it in. Because it's still a lot of good with this team, but it's a lot of bad. The good, I actually like the wide receivers. I like Kevontae Turpin. I think they're not using him to the best of his ability. I can't say enough good things about CeeDee Lamb. He's one of the better wide receivers in the NFL. Right now, it's a tough way for him to get open because he's the only consistent target at the wide receiving position. And Jalen Tolbert, I think he's solid as well. He's not a true number 2 just yet, but he had a big game against the Steelers. These guys are going to be very inconsistent because they have not been placed into these roles just yet. But when I look at it from this standpoint, the good, you have young talent that'll step up here and there. The bad, you're paying CeeDee Lamb a lot of money. You're paying Dak Prescott a lot of money. You're not getting a return on that investment just yet. And Dak Prescott has not been good this season. Let's just be clear here. Just because he had one good drive against the Steelers and they won that football game, do not come in my comment section saying that Dak Prescott looked amazing in that game, because he did. He had 2 interceptions and a fumble in that game. Look at what happened against the New Orleans Saints. He had interceptions in that game. What happened in today's game against the Detroit Lions? He had 2 interceptions. These interceptions are ridiculous at this point. Now, we've seen in the past Dak Prescott turn the football over. But when Dak Prescott has been at his best, what has he been able to do? Turn around and hand that football off and work into play action. And this is why the head coach will be fired at the end of the season or even some point in time during the season. Coach Mike came out a couple years ago and he had to sit down with Jerry Jones. He threw Kellen Moore underneath the bus. Now, I'm not taking up for Kellen Moore, because Kellen Moore did a lot of dumb things with the Dallas Cowboys. But tell me right now that Coach Mike is a better offensive play caller than Kellen Moore. Because he's not. They don't run the football enough. They're too impatient with the run. And now they're going to justify it by saying this. Look at all the money we're paying Dak Prescott. He's our franchise guy. He should be able to go out there and throw the football 35 to 40 times a game. It's not going to work. Dak Prescott makes too many mistakes to go out there and to be a realistic threat on the field from week to week against upper level teams in the NFL. You know what the Dallas Cowboys are? They're the definition of a team that can beat up on weak teams in the NFL. If you're below 500, the Dallas Cowboys will go out there. They'll put up 3 to 4 touchdowns on your neck. Dak Prescott will have a 3 passing touchdown game. Rico will go out there. He'll go crazy. But when they go against elite level competition like the 49ers and the Packers and the Lions, it's too late for them. They're not going to show up. They hide. And we've seen this over the last couple of years in the NFL playoffs. But what did Jerry Jones do? You knew as soon as Tony Pollard left, you're going to need to get a running back. They could have brought in Derrick Henry, but they wanted to lowball him. So he went to the Ravens. He wanted to go to the Cowboys. He lives in Dallas. He trains in Dallas. But he goes to the Ravens. They missed out on that opportunity. Not only just that, you didn't bring in Derrick Henry. You didn't even draft a running back. You wanted to bring back Rico and Deuce Vaughn and bring back Ezekiel Elliott for ticket sales and for merchandise sales, because that's what it was for. The casual fan, they love Ezekiel Elliott. They reminisce on what he used to be the first couple years of his career when he was one of the better running backs in the NFL. We're far gone from that. Ezekiel Elliott has no juice out the backfield. He's too slow. Ezekiel Elliott is at his best when it's 3rd and goal or when it's 3rd and 2. That's it. If it's 1st down and 10, no one fears Ezekiel Elliott out the backfield. He's too slow. He's just a battering ram at this point. That's what he is. And it's no offense towards him. They just ran him into the ground the first couple of years of his career. That's why you moved off of Ezekiel Elliott. They were insane to bring him back. And Ezekiel Elliott comes out last week and said that he's dumbfounded because he doesn't get the football to goal line situation. I understand why he's frustrated, but at the same time, Ezekiel Elliott, you're not 21, 22 years old anymore. You're touching 30 and you run like you're 40. You're not a good running back anymore. Let it go. Dak Prescott has to play better. It makes zero sense to throw the interceptions that he's throwing and have the fumbles that he's having as well. We could talk about how the offensive line are dealing with a lot of penalties, and this is one of the positives I was talking about. Cooper Beebe, I like him a lot at the center position. Very good player. Tyler Guyton, he's dealing with his penalties right now. I think that he's going to be a superstar at that tackle position. Just give him time. Big Zach Martin is still a top guard in the NFL. They have good pieces, but overall, they're not a good football team. They can't run the football. They're too inconsistent on the offensive end. They have a quarterback that is mistake prone with throwing interceptions. Their defense has never been able to stop the run in the last 5 to 6 years in the NFL playoffs. Why do you think that they haven't been able to go out there and make a deep playoff run in the last couple of years? Because they cannot stop the run. And Mozzie Smith right now does look like a bust. And don't tell me the last 2 weeks he looked good. He looked good against the Giants. He looked good against the Steelers. Okay, the Steelers are a bad offensive team. No offense to them. They can rarely score over 20 points most weeks. And you're in a close situation with that team? They really should have blew the Steelers out, but Dak Prescott, look at him, interceptions. Yes, you did a very good job of stopping the run of the Steelers. How do you look against teams that are well above 500? Can you stop their run game? And it just gets better for the Dallas Cowboys. This is the hardest part of their schedule. They can't stop the run still. And don't give me they're missing DeMarcus Lawrence, they're missing Micah Parsons. Those are very good players. Yes, DeMarcus Lawrence is a very good run stopper. He's one of few that can go out there and stop the run. Micah Parsons is a pass rusher and a pass rusher only. He's not going out there stopping the run. And you're not getting those guys back anytime soon. Micah Parsons is expected to be back in the next couple of weeks. DeMarcus Lawrence is still expected to miss a good chunk of this season. He's still on IR right now. And I do feel for them because you look at a guy like Deron Bland, like, hey, Deron Bland's coming back. He's practicing again. The secondary hasn't been bad with the Cowboys. I like their secondary. They'll give up big plays, but they'll also get some picks as well. This is a team that goes out there and they front run. And that was the case last season. They beat up on teams that are below 500. But when you go against teams that can run the football, they have very good quarterback play, and they can get on the quarterback and they can put pressure on Dak Prescott, they can't win those games. They just can't. To lose to the New Orleans Saints the way that you did at home, to lose to the Detroit Lions the way that you did at home, and this is coming off of embarrassing losses to the San Francisco 49ers when you were at home in the NFL playoffs. This is coming off of just what happened last season against the Green Bay Packers. The game was over at halftime because of the dumb interceptions. But the Dak Prescott supporters will say, man, you're putting him in a tough situation because the defense can't stop the run. He's still going out there throwing interceptions and the game is close. What does the defense have to do with him throwing interceptions early in the game? They're not down by 20, 30 points at that point in time. And for the ones that say, put Cooper Rush in, he threw an interception as well. He's not any better. This is the Dallas Cowboys team that's in a bad way. They have some bad coaches on this team. With the head coach and the defensive coordinator, Mike Zimmer's too old. The system doesn't work anymore. He's not going to be able to stop the run. And I look at it from this situation as well. They switched coaches so many times. They switched defensive coaches. Some Cowboy fans were blaming Dan Quinn. They were blaming the defensive coordinator before him. You know one thing that relatively stays the same? The players. This is on the players. They need a complete shift off of those players. Yes, we're early into the season, but this is who they are. They haven't been able to stop the run in many years. And they have not been completely sold on the run game in many years either, since the younger years of Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott. Now, and that was 4 to 5 years ago. So I look at it from this standpoint. They'll go out there 1 week. They'll have a good win over a team like the Giants, or they'll have a good win over a team like the Steelers. They'll go against the San Francisco 49ers or the Packers, and they'll get beat up yet again. It's a repeating cycle. And nothing's going to change until Jerry Jones steps down, and he's never going to step down. So nothing's never going to change. It's the same thing over and over again. And I do feel for Dallas Cowboy fans because you have seen so many talented rosters. And I'm talking about we can go back years, decades, so many talented rosters with Tony Romo, DeMarco Murray, Dez Bryant. But it's always something that keeps them from going. Whether it's coaching of Jason Garrett, the coaching of Mike, a guy like Kellen Moore basically going out there and costing you on third down. Dak Prescott throwing interceptions. They're not good enough to be true contenders in the NFC. And I would be surprised if they won this division. Because I look at teams like the Philadelphia Eagles. They're struggling right now. But guess what they can do with Saquon Barkley? They can run the football. I look at the Washington Commanders. Guess what they can do? They can run the football with Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson Jr. This is a Cowboys team that barely beat the New York Giants on Thursday night. And they usually go out there and they destroy the New York Giants. No offense to Giant fans. But they usually go out there, they pin their ears back, they beat up on Daniel Jones. That was not the case this season. They're struggling, and they're in a bad way. I would like to think that this team will finish above 500, but I highly doubt it. If these interceptions by Dak Prescott continue, and they can't get healthier on defense any faster, they're in a world of trouble. Because you look at the next couple of weeks and you look at those opponents, it's not getting any easier for this team, not even close. But let me know in the comment section below how you guys feel about the Dallas Cowboys and who is most at fault. I can tell you who's most at fault for me. Forget the coaches. It's Jerry Jones. You're the one that went out there. You paid CeeDee Lamb, and you should have paid him earlier so the cap hit wasn't as high. You should have paid Dak Prescott earlier so the cap hit wasn't as high. You paid those guys, but one guy he didn't pay, and that was Coach Mike. He's done after this season, even if they make the NFL playoffs, because they're not going to win a playoff game this season. But if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, when each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. God bless. Peace.